Hi everybody, I'm Zilla Blitz and welcome to the second half of our fourth mission in our 9-mission custom campaign game with By Stealth and Sea. Now this is a 2020 war game from DVG Games where you get to control an underwater Italian commando unit in a series of 9 missions in World War II. Now when we last left off, our crew from SLC number 1 was tantalizingly close to the battleship Valiant. Can we sink it? Our other two SLC crews were stunned with British patrol boats nearby. Can they recover and survive? Let's jump in and finish up the mission and find out. Here's a quick visual recap as we slide into our 3:30 a.m. turn. SLC number 1, boarded by Kujimani and Jimmy J, need to reorient to the northeast, head towards the Valiant, attach their warhead, and sink it before sunrise or before they are captured and killed. They're tantalizingly close, but still have a lot of work to do. SLC number 3, with Patrice and Cruce, have been stunned by a depth charge. They're bracketed by patrol craft in a very dangerous situation. Can they recover and perhaps hit the HMS Hasty? Or is it time to start thinking about having them scuttle and try to escape? With less success, our first inexperienced crew, SLC-2, manned by Walise and Lille, have struggled with repair problems and they're now stunned because of a wetsuit problem. Can they recover and perhaps get inside the harbor and maybe even hit this cargo ship here? But with only 3 hours left in our adventure, our mission here, time is starting to get tight. We're going to jump now into this turn and do the first thing, which is our roll to see which one of our SLCs has a repair fault. Now, I was looking at the reviews. As I was looking at editing, SLC number 2 had the lion's share of the breakages in our previous episode, and they start out this episode with the first repair fault. Let's go check it out. All right, let's see what problem they have. I didn't realize it until I was editing the last episode when I think SLC number 2 had a ton of problems. This is not good. SLC battery fault, because they had a battery problem earlier in their mission, which caused a loss of function in their battery. If they fail on this roll, they will lose their battery function completely, which means that their SLC is immobile in the water. That would dictate an immediate, well, they could try to recover, then scuttle, but it would probably dictate an immediate scuttle attempt and to end their mission. Let's hope they can fix it. We need a 5 or a 6 on one die roll. We get a 3. That's not good. Battery is gone, and that means SLC number 2 cannot move for the rest of the mission. The fate of Patrice, Walise, and Lille is going to likely kind of lie in some sort of scuttle and escape attempt. Okay, let's go to the board and check things out. Alrighty, we're going to start with SLC number 2 since we were just talking about them. They are stunned and their SLC can no longer move. We're going to have them attempt to scuttle. Now, because they're stunned, they need to make a 4, 5, or 6 on this die roll as an ops report to kind of scuttle their craft while they're stunned here. If they do, then they will immediately try to escape. Now, they do have functional breathing gear, which means we could make as many as 2 re-rolls on these attempts. And we'll think about it here. Hopefully we can get a 4, 5, or 6 to start. Yes, a 6. Excellent. Okay, so they have scuttled SLC number 2. Which means it is lying there. They've successfully dismantled and broken that apart. Now they are swimming to try to be saved. However, the problem with this is Alexandria is a particularly difficult harbor to be rescued from. As we can imagine them swimming about in the night waters and trying to escape to be rescued, they normally need to make a roll of a 4 or higher. Because it's 5 o'clock or earlier, we get a +1. However, because it's Alexandria, it's a -2. Which means we need to make a roll of a 5 or a 6 on this. Now, if we don't, they're captured and removed from the game. However, we have 2 breathing gear opportunities to remove on this. So we're going to get multiple rolls to do this. Here's our first one. Oh, yes! Excellent! So Walise and Lille, although they get no experience points and have very little success in the mission, in their first, they managed to scuttle their craft and escape, which does give us 2 big victory points. So for the second time they've participated in a mission, Walise and Lille have not been able to accomplish anything, but at least they've been able to scuttle their SLCs and escape to safety. So we will likely see them again in an upcoming mission. All right, now let's come back down inside the harbor for SLC number 1 and SLC number 3. SLC number 1 is our big hope. We're going to have them try to turn using 1 action point towards the Valiant. Now, the last turn, they failed on these rolls. They need a 4, 5, or 6 on 2 dice rolls. Let's see what we get. Yes! Ooh, the 1 came up. I thought we were in trouble, but the 4 came up. So they successfully turned to the northeast. Now they're going to do the same type of maneuver, expending 1 action point and try to move 2 squares closer to the Valiant. A 3 and a 1. Ah, they fail. So we only get to turn. Things have slowed down for them. Not good here. Okay, let's go now to SLC number 3. The question is, do we have them try to scuttle or do we have them try to recover? All right, as much as I hate to say it, I was thinking that for their safety it might make sense to scuttle. However, because if they are detected, they're probably going to die. But I think it's worth it trying at least one more time to have them recover, because my thinking is, if both of our SLCs are detected, we kind of want them going for SLC number 3 instead of SLC number 1. Oh, it's a little bit of a sacrifice, but I don't think it's quite there yet, right? So we're going to have Patrice and Cruce try to recover. They need a 5 or a 6 here after getting... Oh, they need a 4, 5, or 6 because it's not a wetsuit stunning. So they 4, 5, or 6 and they would recover. We get a 2. Okay. So unfortunately the dice rolls... Well, I guess the escape dice rolls were good, but... Okay, let's go on now to the harbor defense reaction. I'm going to do this off camera. Actually, it's close enough. Let's do this on camera as well here. So we will bring our alert cards in. We only have 2 SLCs left. Let's start with SLC number 1. Searchlights need an 11 or greater to detect us. They get a 9. Whew, that's a high number. It's good to get that one out of the way, though. Let's see if SLC number 3 is detected. Same thing. We get a 6, so no detections there. Now let's go to patrol craft. Because we are inside the harbor and submerged, it's a 9 or greater for this one to be 8 or less to not be detected. SLC number 1. Come on, guys, stay safe. Ooh. Oh, sorry, did I show that? They just made it with an 8. Okay, that was perilously close. Let's go now to SLC number 3, whose lives hang in the balance here. Submerged under the harbor, and same thing, 9 or less. Oh, nice, a 3. Easily. So that's good. The detection efforts of the British here totally fail. Now we have to do some random movement for our patrol craft. So let's roll for that. First up, we'll do patrol craft number 1, which is to the northwest of SLC number 3. We, of course, want them to move anywhere except on top of our patrol craft. We get a 5. A 5 is straight south. They are staying close here, but not on top of them yet. Patrol craft number 3 is our next roll. We want them to stay away from us as well. A 5 is straight south. So they do. They move farther away. British patrol craft struggling a little bit here to find our SLCs right now. With that being said, it is time now for us to go to our 4 a.m. turn. We have 5 turns left to accomplish our mission. It's time for us now to roll to see which SLC has a fault. We hope we can continue to roll SLC number 2. It's SLC number 1. That's not what we wanted. Let's go see what happens. All right, we don't have much time left for things to break. Hoping for something innocuous here. Transmission fault. That would reduce them to 1 action point until we fix it. However, the good thing is that Kujimani and Jimmy J have a repair skill of 2, which means we get 2 dice rolls, 2 dice, and we need a 5 or a 6 on one of them. Let's go, guys. Oh, yes, a 5. Excellent. So they quickly fix the transmission fault, and we can go to our turn in the harbor now. Let's proceed. All right, let's start with SLC number 1. What we're going to start out with is an automatic move forward, which is 1 action point to move 1 square. Then we can make an attempted full move, which would be 2 squares forward. Yeah, we want to definitely try to do that. So this would be they need a 4, 5, or 6 to make a full move at 2 squares. So we put them 1 away, getting close to our target here. 5 or a 6, a 3, and a 6. Excellent. So they make it. They succeed, which moves them 2 squares towards the Valiant. They are right in front of the Valiant at 4 o'clock in the morning. Most excellent. This is good. Now let's come down and talk about SLC number 3, Patrice and Cruce. I think time is no longer on their side, and it's time to see if we can rescue them. Because they made it inside the harbor, they would get an experience point. We're going to see if they can scuttle their craft. Now their breathing gear is half functional, so we have one extra roll here. To recover to get them to successfully scuttle it, we need a 4, 5, or 6 here. Yes, excellent. So SLC number 3 has scuttled their craft. Now comes the bigger roll to see if they survive. Can they successfully escape, or are they captured? The roll for them is, normally it's a 4, 5, or 6. It is before 5 o'clock, so we get +1 to our roll. However, Alexandria is tough with a -2. This is the exact same roll that we needed for Patrice and for Walise and Lille. So Patrice and Cruce need a 5 or a 6 on one die to make it. If they get this, they would be successfully extracted from the mission. If they fail, we can try it again, but we have to remove the breathing gear, which would make it a further -1 to our roll, which would mean they need a 6 on the second roll. Their lives hang in the balance. We really would like this experienced crew to make it through here, because another experience point and another experienced crew would be very helpful. 5 or 6, come on. It's a 4. Okay, so we're going to pull off the breathing gear and sacrifice that for one more roll, but it is even a lesser chance. We need a 6 for Patrice and Cruce to be successfully extracted from the mission. Come on, guys, you got it. Dice roll gods, help us out. What do we... 4. So Patrice and Cruce successfully scuttle their craft, giving us 1 victory point. However, the British patrol craft close in on them and capture them, and they are removed from the game. We have lost a crew. With that, let us adjust now for the... we're going to do the harbor defense moves here now. Gosh, that's a tough loss for us. They had done so well in that first mission, and were doing pretty well until things went sideways here. But we kind of knew that about Alexandria anyway. So let's do now the harbor defenses here. I'm going to shift over to SLC number 1. We're going to get a better look at it. All right, it's time now for the harbor defense reaction for our 4 o'clock mission. And I should say that with 2 of our SLCs out of action now, there is no chance that we'll be able to match the historical result of this evening in World War II. The Italian commando crews in World War II sank both the HMS Valiant and the HMS Queen Elizabeth. Now, it was in shallow water, so the British Navy was eventually able to repair and refloat both battleships, but it took them over a year to do it. So essentially, a good chunk of the British Navy in the Mediterranean was taken out of action by the commando unit in this attack. We won't be able to meet that, but hopefully, could we potentially get our first big target in this campaign by sinking the Valiant? Kujimani and Jimmy J are on the doorstep. A lot hangs on these reaction rolls. Let's see how we do. First up, the searchlights. We need 10 or less. Oh, nice. Easy as can be here. The bigger one here is the patrol craft, though. We do not want patrol craft messing around with us. Patrol craft, get a... I messed it up, but, well, yeah, 6. Excellent. Okay, so that's helpful for us, because we are now undetected. Now, the other patrol craft are far enough away from us that it doesn't matter which way they go, so I am going to clean up this turn, which basically means to remove the patrol craft that are out there. There are none left on the board. They're all searching around for us in different places, and we can move to the 4:30 a.m. turn. So let's do that and roll for our fault check now. We need anything except a 1 here. 2, excellent, because that's out of action, nothing happens to us. So it is our turn now. So let's think for a second and decide what we're going to do. All right, so I think this is actually pretty straightforward. We are going to have SLC number 1 move forward underneath the Valiant here, and that takes 1 of their action points because it's only a 1-point move. Then we're going to have them try to detach the warhead from their SLC. This is an operational roll, and they only have 1. They're not skilled at operations yet. They just have a 1, so we need a 4, 5, or 6, 1 die roll. This could be huge because it would speed up this thing quite a bit. I knew it wasn't going to be a 4, 5, or 6. So it's a 2. Now we go to the harbor defense reaction. All right, so this is kind of squeaky butt time here, because if we're detected, that means we'd have to, we really don't want to stay put here. This is a key roll. We don't want to be spotted now, of all times here. So 10 or less on the searchlights. Oh, gosh. Detected. No, that's not what we wanted. Okay, and now we have to decide if a patrol craft is going to attack us, which is a pretty easy roll. I guess we still have a chance here, right? Because, oh no, it's not looking very good. Okay, so we are submerged, detected in a harbor. That means 7 or greater, and a patrol craft comes screaming to the scene. We need a 6 or less. Get a 7. So patrol craft number 1 comes back out of the shadows and appears right in front of us. God, this is bad. Okay, we got to think about... So we're going to... That ends this turn. This is basically flipped over. We go to the 5 a.m. turn now. We have to figure out what we're going to do. But let's first start out with a roll to see which one of our SLCs has a problem. We don't want SLC number 1, of course. SLC number 3. Good. So let's think for a second about what we want to do here. Okay, so I think we have a plan here. Our hopes are not very good, but what SLC number 1 needs to do is they need to detach their warhead from the SLC, which is one operation, and then attach it to the Valiant, which is a second operation. If they do that, each one of those has a 50% chance to succeed if we use 1 action point for it. If we do that, we sink the Valiant. So essentially a 1 in 4 chance here to sink the Valiant. However, once we detach the warhead, we can't move, which would totally suck. But anyway, okay, there's a lot of options. What we're going to try to do first is see if we can detach the warhead. If we can't, then I have another idea. So, once again, Kujimani and Jimmy J get out their wrenches and try to take off the warhead from the SLC. We need a 4, 5, or 6. That's not the die roll. This is the one. Yes! Excellent. Okay, so they've taken their warhead off their SLC and attached it. Well, they're taking it off, getting it ready to put onto the Valiant. They can now try to attach the warhead onto the Valiant. It's a 50% chance. If they succeed, the Valiant explodes into the night, and we've succeeded at sinking it. If we fail, we can't move, and the patrol craft has us detected, and they will move into our hex with us. So this is it right here. Can we sink the Valiant? It all comes down to this. A 4, 5, or 6. This die roll or this die? I'm picking a die here. This one. This one feels lucky. Come on, guys. Let's get it. Yes! Nice! The Valiant goes up in flames as we rupture the night sky of Alexandria with the Valiant going down. A 1 in 4 chance to make both of those rolls. Kujimani and Jimmy J perform with admiration and skill to sink the Valiant. We've got our first capital ship in this campaign. Now the big question, though, will Kujimani and Jimmy J survive? It's not looking, I can tell you right now, it's not looking very good because we've been detected. So let's go to the harbor response here to see what happens now. All right, so basically they're already detected, so we don't pull for the searchlights, but we're going to pull for the patrol craft response to see whether another patrol craft shows up. Patrol craft number 1 is going to move onto them and attack them because they're detected and they know where they are. So that's bad. We just want to see if a second patrol craft shows up on the scene. Because they're detected, submerged, and in the harbor, it's a 7+. We need a 6 or less. Come on, guys. Oh, yes, 5. So that relatively good chance here. So this patrol craft now in the harbor defense will move right on top of Kujimani and Jimmy J, and they are going to attack them. Now, Kujimani and Jimmy J are submerged. And the harbor doesn't matter, and detected doesn't matter. It's just a 9 or greater hits because we've got the improved attack now. So we need an 8 or less for them to not get stunned, which would be key, because if they're not stunned, we can potentially move them away, lose detection, and then try to scuttle it, because we can't scuttle the craft if we're in the same hex as a patrol craft. So we're trying to get them out of here. It's not looking very hopeful, but we don't want them to get stunned. 8 or less, please. 7! Nice! Kujimani and Jimmy J survive this turn and survive the attack. Let's go to the 5:30 a.m. turn. We've only got an hour left to rescue them. Let's roll first to see what kind of a fault we get here. This is a big roll. Of course, we want a 2 or 3. Let's see what happens. All right, this is a big pull because we need them to have 2 action points and a functional SLC. Without it, they're not going to be able to move away and try to scuttle it. Okay, Here we go. Let's see what happens with our fault for the start of the 5:30 a.m. turn. Ballast tank fault. Okay, that would mean they have to. They would have to surface. God, this is not good. Come on, guys. We need a 5 or a 6 to fix it. This is not a time for the ballast tank to break. 5 or a 6. Here we go. Yes. Whew. Okay, so they managed to get past the ballast check problem. Their repair skills held true here. Let's go back to the harbor and see what we're going to try to do in this 5:30 a.m. turn. What we're going to do is we can't attempt to scuttle if there's a patrol craft in the same area as we are. So we're going to move Kujimani and Jimmy J forward, not taking the patrol craft with them, but leaving it behind. That will slip detection with them. That leaves them 1 action point in the 5:30 a.m. turn. They have an ops roll here that they can make. So based on their operational skill, they can try to scuttle the craft with 1 action point. They need a 4, 5, or 6 to successfully scuttle it. If they do, then we roll to see if they make it out undetected, which is going to be a tough roll to make. 4, 5, or 6. Come on, let's get it, guys. A 2. No, that's not good. Okay, so that brings us now to the harbor defense reaction for this turn. We have lost detection, so we're going to make 2 card pulls. The first is going to be on... slide this in front. The first is going to be on searchlights. We need a 10 or less to stay away from them. 5. Excellent. Now, patrol craft. We're inside the harbor and we're submerged. Not detected, so it's a 9 or greater to detect us. We really need an 8 or less. Okay. So that may very well be the end. Patrol craft number 2 comes flying in front of our craft. They've spotted us again, and it's time now for the enemy to move. We have a slight hope here, but this patrol craft in the movement phase is going to move right on top, and they are going to attack Kujimani and Jimmy J. Okay, so the attack needs a 9 or greater to hit because we're submerged. 6. Excellent. So they have not successfully attacked us, which takes us now to the end of the turn. We clean this up and we go to the last turn, 6 a.m. The sun is rising over the harbor here. Kujimani and Jimmy J have one last hope for escape. Let's think about what we're going to do, but first we have to see if there is a problem with their SLC. Anything except a 1? A 2. Very good. Okay, so let's think for a second and then make our action. Our one hope here, our problem is that we can't scuttle with a craft on top of us. We can't use the free move forward to move under patrol craft number 2. I'm thinking we actually should have used a breathing gear to re-roll that roll on the last turn. But what we're going to do now, we can still make it work. We're going to try to move ahead full speed a 2, which means that we roll 2 dice on a full move, and we need a 4, 5, or 6 to scamper underneath here. Actually, they're detected, aren't we? To scamper underneath the Carlisle here, and then we can try to scuttle. If we fail this, we're going to use one of our breathing gear tokens. So a 4, 5, or 6 on 2 dice. We get a 1 and a 1. Ugh, that's not good. So we're going to use one of our 2 breathing gear tokens to re-roll this. Let's go again, guys. Yes. Okay, a 6 and a 3. So we use one of our breathing gear tokens, and we successfully use 1 action point to skitter away out of detection and slide. I'll put us on top here, but we're underneath the Carlisle. Now we get a chance to scuttle. The scuttle is an operational roll, so we only get 1 die roll. We need a 4, 5, or 6 to scuttle. If we fail, we'll use our last breathing gear token. A 6! Excellent! Okay, so we've successfully scuttled SLC number 1. Now comes the last hope for Kujimani and Jimmy J, which is, can they escape? So I'm going to figure out the die roll, and then we'll make it. Alrighty, so I realize now as I was checking the modifiers for this, I made a mistake with Patricia and Cruce's die roll because it's a -1, a further -1 if you're inside the harbor, and they were inside the harbor. So they needed a 6 on their first roll and would have been impossible to succeed on the second roll. So Patricia and Cruce didn't really have much of a chance to escape. Unfortunately, by noticing that now, it means Kujimani and Jimmy J's modifiers are going to be correct. It's a very slim chance here that they can succeed because the default roll is a 4, 5, or 6. But because it's Alexandria, it's -2. And because they're inside the harbor, it's -3. Now, we get +1 because our operator card is fully ready. They're not stunned. And we don't get the bonus for before 5 o'clock, however. So we only get +1. So it's -2, and we need a 4, 5, or 6. So taking the breathing gear off will not matter, because it would make the roll impossible. That means Kujimani and Jimmy J, their fate of their career with our campaign comes down to this die roll, and they need a 6. It all comes down to this. They're floating around near the Carlisle, trying to escape to land so they can shuffle off. You can imagine these odds are pretty hard because they're going to probably end up somewhere in Cairo and have to get rescued by Italian operatives. It's a long shot here. It all comes down to this roll. Come on, dice roll gods. A 6. They'd have another experience point. They would have 3 experience points. They would be such an awesome crew if they continue. I don't feel like our odds are very good. Sorry, I just roll it. Okay, here we go. Come on, let's get a 6. Kujimani and Jimmy J sink the SMS Valiant, but British patrol craft capture them in their spotlights, grab them, and take them aboard the Queen Elizabeth. They are shuffled off to a prisoner of war camp in the countryside of England, where they spend the rest of the war. So that brings us to the end today as we stare at British patrol craft. All in all, to kind of a step back, I'm really impressed at how the game generates kind of these tense moments. It all comes down to kind of little things and small decisions. And I felt like it was important in this mission because the target was sitting right here in the middle of the harbor. It made for a really good target. It does hurt, for sure, to lose our 2 best crews, our 2 experienced crews. We now have no crews with experience, which means that we'll be seeing new crews in mission number 5, our next episode. So if you're on the waiting list, you will probably see action. We might bring in 3 all-new crews and give Walise and Lille a round off here. They were the only survivors from this mission. So it looks like Klingmani and Kabi will be our next crew. We have Sternesi and Glaçon, our next crew, and then Fileri and Ape will be our 3rd crew coming in. So all 3 new crews, 6 new participants and operators coming up for mission number 5. To recap mission number 4 here, we ended up with 3 SLCs scuttled, so all 3 were scuttled. That gives us 3 victory points. Walise and Lille successfully escaped. That gives us 4 victory points. And we sunk the HMS Valiant, which gives us another 10 victory points. 14 victory points, and a serious blow to the British Navy in this mission. However, we lost our 2 most experienced crews, both captured by British forces, and will spend the rest of the war out of action. And the only crew that survived is yet to gain an experience point, so all of our operators are inexperienced. And with the sinking of the HMS Valiant, the enemy harbor defenses will be further alerted in our next return. We will be back shortly then, probably about 3 days or so, for the start of Mission 5, which, as fate would have us, is right back here in Alexandria. Will any of our crews survive? We'll see you again in a few days for mission number 5. If you've enjoyed this, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new, please consider subscribing. About 40 to 50% of the content on the channel is wargaming content. See you again shortly for mission number 5. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Have a great rest of the day.